In previous semesters, I've used a short video prepared by Educational Portal Academy, which does summary courses for people taking introductory college courses. These were originally offered free as a promotion for the program, but they've now switched to charging people to watch them. So I've pulled that as an item for study in the class. But I want to tell you what they have to say about the invention of writing as an introduction to the next segment in the course, where the issue of Chinese writing system and the ideas spread by that writing system took effect. What do we know already about language? Well, from the video Journey of Man, we know that language developed sometime in Southwest Africa, roughly 70 to 100,000 years ago. It was a language based on clicks. That language probably did not survive the journey out of Africa, and a whole variety of languages emerged. But the key to the discovery of an oral language was the ability of people to communicate complex ideas. In fact, the ability of the mind to learn new sounds stimulated brain activity and created new ideas. This is very significant because another group of hominoids called Neanderthals lacked the kind of voice box Homo sapiens have and really didn't develop language. They may have had the ability to make certain sounds in the same sense that a great ape or a chimpanzee made sounds, but they didn't really develop language. And some people think, and I'm inclined in this direction, to believe that the Neanderthals died out about 30,000 years ago because they were in competition with people who'd learned an oral language. Although that's fine. But now we go to the next step. What about the discovery of a written language? Educational Portal Academy makes the argument that all written language emerged in Sumeria with cuneiform writing. And they are correct that that can be dated to about 3,000 years before the birth of Christ, or about 5,000 years ago. It's a little ethnocentric, though, for them to say that the West developed written language, because there is evidence that language developed separately in other parts of the world. The Chinese, for example, like to claim that they discovered writing, started to invent characters about 5,000 years before the birth of Christ. And they have some evidence that supports their position. Westerners discount it by calling it only a proto-language, but who cares? 3,000 to 5,000 years ago, language developed in two different sections of the world. The Hindus, by the way, the Indians, followers of the Hindu religion, believe that their language is even older than all of them, and have some evidence, though not quite as conclusive as the other sources. Written language did the following. It meant that now, instead of just being able to convey ideas orally within the sound of one person's voice, or orally within the presence of other living beings, if you first taught the language and then gave writings to support it, you could reach far beyond the sound of any one person's voice and far beyond any one generation. We continue to read Hebrew prophets that wrote hundreds of years before the birth of Christ. We continue to read Plato and Aristotle from the Greek era, and so on and so forth. We can now read these because of the availability of the written language. Written language is also made possible. They were first brought about as people began to farm and live village life. But the availability of written language allowed the expansion of the size of those villages into full-fledged cities and empires, because now those empires could have laws, they could have decrees, they could contain censuses, they could have taxes, and for ordinary citizens who learned how to write, they could maintain economic accounts of various kinds. These were all important developments. And the problem I have with the Educational Portal Academy is that they made a couple of mistakes. They didn't show cuneiform in their thing, they showed hieroglyphs. That's not correct. And they made this claim that is only an ethnocentric claim, that the West discovered writing earlier, when the question of who first had writing is open to question and open to further historical examination. This will all be discussed in a couple of course segments that are to follow this one.